Welcome to Talkin Track. I'm Ryan Stillman, and it's great to be back for 2025. I have a new co-host with me, Aaron Halterman of Racing Dudes. Welcome to the show, Aaron.
What is up, guys? Yeah, good to be here. I don't know, maybe the show's going to go downhill now. We'll see what happens with me being on the show for now, but we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. We've got a lot of fun things. I know you've been working hard on it, so should be a heck of a lot of fun.
Well, we're glad to have you. And yeah, we do have a jam-packed show today. We've got to talk all things Kentucky Derby. We got to discuss the Pegasus, the Eclipse Awards. We got free picks for you, games. Strap in. We're getting ready to go here. We're off to the races. Let's just dive right in, bro. Aaron, I think we should start with our top 5 Kentucky Derby lists. You know, the way this is going to work is Aaron and I are going to give you our top 5 Kentucky Derby lists. And as a bonus, we're going to give you an exclusive. We have horse racing legend Jon White's Kentucky Derby top 5. Like the reason we're doing this, I think, Aaron, the best way to put it is like when it comes to Derby, it's all about opinions. And the more opinions you get, the better insights you have on how maybe you're feeling versus the experts. And so I think this should be a good way to help people, don't you?
Absolutely. And yes, Jon White, a legend in racing. He went into the Washington Racing Hall of Fame over the summer. Ryan and I we were there to watch that happen. And he's kind of our mentor, I would say. I at least say that for myself, Ryan. I think you would probably agree with that. So a guy that's held every job in racing, like I said, a gambling legend. So to have his top 5 here on the first show of 2025, I think it's a big deal. I love that he's on, and it'll be fun to kind of compare our list. And then if you're listening, your list, maybe with what Jon has as well.
Absolutely. And so with that being said, let me jump in and I'll go first. I'll start us off here. So here's my top 5 for the Kentucky Derby. I'll go from the bottom up. Journalism, number 5 for me. This horse had a setback. He missed some training. Aaron, I couldn't actually find out exactly what caused the setback, but he's back to work. That's what I know. I like everything about this horse. The pedigree for the 6 is great. I'm a little concerned he didn't beat much in the Los Alfuturity, though. That is concerning to me the more that race has come back. And I see you nodding, so it sounds fair, my criticism there, critique.
Absolutely. Yeah. The race did not come back very strong. A horse named Gaming was 3rd in that race. He ended up being like 2nd to last in his last race in the Southwest at Oakland. So I get it. By the way, it was just a minor illness. There was no injury, so to speak, for journalism. He just kind of got a little bit sick, missed a couple of weeks of training. So he's okay physically, just a little illness. So good timing for an illness. You don't want it to happen on the first Saturday in May, that's for sure. So he should be back on track now.
I love hearing that. Now, a horse that does have me concerned is my number 4 horse, Sovereignty. You know, I see, Aaron, I looked. He has only had 2 workouts since December 24th. His last workout that I saw was on January 15th. It was the second best of 16. Look, I love this horse. I am having trouble putting Sovereignty above the horses that are in front of him on my list and even keeping him here because it's just concerning when you don't see a horse training consistently. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sovereignty has a big time future. He has a very patient trainer. Bill Mott trains Sovereignty, and he is not one to rush a horse into a race. He's going to let the horse, you know, I hate the phrase, but he's going to let the horse tell him when it's time to run and that kind of thing. So look, I would not be panicked yet, Ryan. If we are in the middle of February and we're still not seeing workouts from this horse, panic, go crazy, Ryan, really panic. I know you're good at that. You will panic. So, but as of right now, don't panic yet. I still think there's time for this horse, but we need to see a workout from him soon.
With that being said, number 3, East Avenue. This horse is pointing to the Risen Star Stakes on February 15th. When we last saw him, dude, he stumbled out of the gate in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and finished 2nd to last. Before that, he was unstoppable. In fact, you and I had heard from inside sources, he was working better than any horse at the Breeders' Cup leading up to that race. City of Troy. You just go down the list of famous horses that came over. The question is, will he come back the same horse? On January 17th, Aaron, just before it, I just want to say, worked a bullet out of 44. That got me excited. Go ahead. I got to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, you can tell I was ready to jump in because what I do for a living is run a horse racing website. I own a horse racing website, and I analyze hundreds of thousands of horses now as we've been like 12, 13 years into this thing. So I analyze the workout patterns of horses all the time. This guy, East Avenue, has just done nothing wrong in any of his works ever since before he even raced. When he was leading up to the race, you would watch him work and be like, man, he is flawless. Now, he ran 2 exceptional races that matched those workouts before stumbling badly at the Breeders' Cup and finishing off the board. So I was like, oh no, is this kind of going to ruin this horse? Is mentally, will it mess this horse up? You said it. I almost cut you off. I was so excited to say it. East Avenue is working like he was before that Breeders' Cup. Flawless. He's doing everything perfectly. I cannot wait to see him. February 15th, Risen Star, Fairgrounds. That's going to be when we see him next. Hopefully, as long as everything goes okay, I'm pumped for it.
I love hearing that, man. An endorsement from you is always great. And number 2, Barnes. Now, look, here's why he's number 2 for me. He's undefeated, which is something I can't say about anyone else on my list. And his races give you the feeling that he's improving. I think the horse Barnes beat in his maiden race, Innovator Aaron, came back to flatter him on form by running a respectable third in the Lecomte Stakes. I also think he beat a solid field in the San Vicente. Yet to be seen. But Barnes proved, look, he proved a lot to me. He kind of has stepped up from race to race. And he's, even though he hasn't gone around two-turn tests, past the two-turn test, sorry, if I can get it out right, I still don't see why I would doubt him doing that based on what I've seen. He kind of gives you that look and feel of like Money in the Bank horse, like you know he's going to show up every time. He's got to be number 2 for me on the list at this minute. What do you think? Is that a fair assessment, that the reasoning?
Yeah, his 2 races, as Ryan referred to, are at 6.5 furlongs and 7 furlongs. And so if you're new to horse racing, that's still less than a mile. And the Derby's a mile and a quarter. So he has to stretch out and go a mile and a 16th or a mile and an 1/8 in his next start to kind of build that way towards a mile and a quarter. So that's the big question mark with Barnes. But you kind of said it. He's doing everything the right way. When you look at a horse running shorter, when they hit the finish line, you kind of want to watch them after the finish line to see if they still have a lot of energy, to still see if they're kind of running smoothly, they're not tired, things like that. And in both of his starts, he really kind of felt like he was just getting going as they hit the wire there at the finish line. So I really think, yeah, he's going to stretch out okay. The only thing is you just never know it until you see it. And so that's still going to be a question mark for him until he does it. But just because it's a question mark doesn't mean he can't do it. That's the good news. So I'm with you. I like Barnes as well.
And number 1 for me, Citizen Bull. Look, he races this weekend in the Robert B. Lewis. I've had him number 1 this long. It would be a real shame to drop him now. But I still feel that way about him. I think he's number 1 for right now. He's officially crowned 2-year-old champion not long ago, Aaron. He's been doing great as far as workouts. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, Citizen Bull, obviously a horse that is going to have a ton of hype because he was the 2-year-old horse of the year, won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile like you were talking about. His workouts have been fantastic. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Maybe working out better than he did last year when he was able to win 2-year-old of the year. His last couple at Santa Anita, talking about the workouts, have been awesome. And it shows me he's ready to run coming up this weekend. And spoiler alert, we will give picks for the race he's going to be in this weekend later on in the show. But yeah, I think for me, I've got him number 1 as well. The spoiler alert there. It'll just be a matter of, okay, will he kind of take that next step? You're going to have to progress from a 2-year-old to a 3-year-old. That's like a guy or girl that's playing junior high basketball or football going up to the varsity level when they go from 2 to 3. That's kind of the comparison there. So as you know, sometimes in junior high, you got a guy or a gal that's really good, and then you get up to high school and maybe everybody catches up with them. So that's the thing. Will Citizen Bull continue to progress? We'll see. The first step is going to be on Saturday.
Why don't we take a look at your list? With that being said, with the spoilers, why don't we? Oh, look at that. I love it. We have a lot of, okay. We're seeing things similar, Aaron.
Yeah, so I'll just go through mine 1 through 5 or 5 through 1 very quickly. I won't go, because we've just talked about all 5 of these because they're the same horses in just different orders. So I'll start with number 5, Barnes, and I'll just tell you why I don't have him number 2 like Ryan does, is because we just haven't seen him go that longer race, go the mile and 16th, mile and 8th, the 2 turns. So that's a big question mark. And look, we both had a horse named Patch Adams on our list, and that was a question mark for him. He hadn't went 2 turns. He did last week. It didn't go as well as we thought it would. So that's why I'm just a little slower to put that horse Barnes up higher until we see it. But he's number 5 for me. Number 4 is Journalism. I'm skeptical of what he beat in the Los Alamitos Futurity as well. But here's the deal, Ryan. He did it very easily, and he did it like a horse that even wants to go longer than that mile and the 16th race. So I'll keep him at number 4 for now. Sovereignty, number 3 for me. I think we covered him pretty well. I think he's got a huge future. Let's hope he works soon. I am a little bit worried about that. East Avenue, number 2. I think I gushed over him enough. I can't really say it enough. He has just been absolutely flawless, unfortunately for him, except for that one time on the biggest stage as a 2-year-old where it just didn't go his way. But I'm excited to see what he does. Like I said, February 15th. And then Citizen Bull, number 1 for me and for you both. And look, he's got a chance to be number one after this weekend, or maybe we drop down and all of a sudden, maybe he's not even in the top 5. That's what this weekend could bring.
I like your breakdowns there of the reasons why you put the horses where you did. I really thought it was interesting what you said about East Avenue. When you talk about a horse, if you're new to racing, you probably focus on the Triple Crowns and you're like, will I see a Triple Crown winner again? What's exciting about him when I look at that list, Aaron, is he had that buzz. Like he could be something special, right? Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, you mentioned it at the Breeders' Cup, and you were there live and in person, and saw the disappointment of East Avenue. But you'd kind of heard some buzz, and then I had heard from 3 or 4 people on the backside of the track that, listen, out of all the horses, East Avenue is the best one here, and the Breeders' Cup is the best horses, from all over the world, all different ages and divisions and everything, and that was the buzz and that was the hype on East Avenue. And he had, like said, he had backed it up on the track with 2 excellent performances. But look, the Breeders' Cup did not go his way. The good news is you can forget about that real quick. If he comes back as a 3-year-old and wins some of these bigger races, that 2-year-old thing will just kind of be an afterthought. So excited, nervous, hopefully. Sometimes when a horse has trouble like that, mentally, they can kind of get a little bogged down. I hope that's not the case. That's the only worry.
Well, with that being said, let's go to someone who's seen horses for generations before us. I mean, honestly, he's seen the grandparents of these horses. He's the living legend, Jon White. He's our hero here, Washington Racing Hall of Famer, and I think the greatest living genius in horse racing. My opinion, everyone's entitled to their own, but look at this, Aaron. Now, what sticks out to me is we've got a lot of crossover with our list, but one horse is different, Rodriguez. I think that's where we should start.
Yeah, and Rodriguez is running this weekend. So another thing to kind of think about. Stay tuned for the show. When we give our picks, we'll talk about Rodriguez. So if you don't know him, you haven't heard of him yet, he was, second on debut, going 1 turn, going a shorter distance. And it was a decent race, but not great. He stretched out to 2 turns, going 1 mile there at Santa Anita in his next start. And he just simply blew the competition away. He was fantastic. He was just off the charts. Let's just be honest. And if he can kind of reproduce that type of race when facing tougher horses, he's going to be really tough to beat. From a talent standpoint, if you just look at that one race, which was the maiden special weight win there for Rodriguez, you look at that and you go, yeah, he's probably about as good as anybody, if not better than anybody out there right now. Now, again, it was just a maiden special weight. And what that is, you're racing horses that have never won a race before. So now we're going to go up and face Stakes Company now, and that'll be the big question mark. What's he going to do when he faces tougher? And we're going to get that answer. But I respect Jon for putting him at number 2. I think it makes sense.
Well, what's exciting, too, if you don't know Jon White, he has a long, detailed history of predicting horses' success before the general public does. Even with Rodriguez, he liked this horse before its buyer was improved from, I think it was a 93, Aaron. I don't quote me, to 101. Yep. So he really, to his credit, and it's always, why Jon White's such a great person to listen to, he can predict future success better than anyone I've ever seen. So Rodriguez definitely... he could make both of our lists next week. I think the last point that's really interesting, Aaron, here is we all have a Bob Baffert horse on top, and that's scary for the guy who's mastered the Derby. There's no doubt about it. So lots of good chances there for him this year.
Well, yeah, and Bob Baffert has been missing from the Kentucky Derby for 3 years because of a suspension, and he is back. And like said, look at Jon's list there. You've got Barnes and you've got Rodriguez right there, number 1 and number 2 for Bob Baffert. Our list, like you said, Citizen Bull, and we have Barnes listed as well. So multiple Bob Bafferts, and that's the world we're going to live in. This guy loves the Derby more than anything, in my opinion, and he's back, and he's going to try to win that thing with guns blazing for the next couple of years, even more so than he did previously.
Now, look, I think it's great to know what others are thinking when it comes to the Derby, but you know what's even better, Aaron? Making people money. And when it comes to making cash on the first Saturday in May, we have to bring in our buddy, Paul Withrow, a.k.a. Mr. Value Play. Now, before Paul gives us his Kentucky Derby future bet of the week, Aaron, why don't you tell everyone Paul's bet in Las Vegas at the Los Al Futurity the other year? Because, man, I mean, talk about a way to show just how great this guy is at making money at horse racing.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, Los Alamitos for charity, and Jon White, the great Jon White, was with us as well, and Paul Withrow, who we're going to show you here in a second, was with us as well. And Winstock was a horse for Bob Baffert. He was kind of the other Bob Baffert horse. He had another one in the race, was taking all the money. Winstock wasn't taking any money, and Paul said, "This Winstock, that's who I want. He's going to get to the front, and he's not going to get past." And he did just that. And Jon White looked at Paul and he was like, "That was a great pick." But Paul said to me privately, said, "I can die a happy man now if Jon White just said that to me." So, but, all joking aside, Paul is a great handicapper. He's always coming up with nice long shots like this. So let's see what happens. Let's see what he picks here. I haven't seen this, so I'm excited to see.
All right. Hello, everybody. Let's talk about one of my favorite things, and that is the Kentucky Derby. And even more fun is making money off the Kentucky Derby. Right now, you have the unique opportunity of grabbing value with a Kentucky Derby future wager. So let's look at the two horses that I think provide value today as we head into a big prep weekend. I'm going to select two Bob Baffert horses. Why Bob Baffert? Because for the first time since 2021, Bob Baffert's going to run in the Kentucky Derby with horses. That means his horses are going to get pounded on Kentucky Derby Day, so you have to grab value prices on them now. The two horses I've selected are both running in the Robert B. Lewis in a big stakes weekend, Citizen Bull and Matticat Road. Citizen Bull is currently setting at 22-1. Matticat Road is at 50-1. They both present extreme value. If one of those wins the Robert B. Lewis on Saturday, their price will plummet. Take advantage of it now. Bet Citizen Bull and Matticat Road.
Wow. Very exciting to hear that. Aaron, what are your thoughts on his reasoning behind that?
It's interesting that he chose two Baffert horses as we were talking about Baffert horses. So everybody sick of Bob Baffert yet? I am a little bit. Anyway, no, I like that. Listen, Citizen Bull is 22-1 right now, as Paul mentioned. And this is a horse that was the 2-year-old of the year, and he's 22-1. So I'm with him. And look, if Citizen Bull wins the race, we're going to talk about later, his odds are going to go down. Matticat Road at 50-1. That's one we haven't mentioned, so I'll talk about him for just a second. He's a horse that was second on debut and then won a maiden special weight last time out. The third place horse of that maiden special weight that Matticat Road won came back to win his next start. So that's a good sign. He beat a pretty good horse that day. He is he's just developing in front of our eyes. He's going to have to get a little bit better, but who says he's not going to get better with Bob Baffert on his side? And also he's just getting ready to make his third start of his career as well. So yeah, I think both those are pretty good prices. And listen, 50-1 on a Bob Baffert horse that, like he said, if he wins on Saturday, he might be 10-1 by the end of the day.
Well, there's so much to be thankful for when it's Kentucky Derby time, because you get excited. You get to follow the new crops. And one thing I get excited about is always learning in horse racing. And because there's so many different ways to pick a Kentucky Derby horse, it's good to talk about one that I don't think gets talked about enough. Look, you could study the form like Aaron and I do. You can bet based on their bloodlines, their names, their prices, like Paul just said. And thank you again, Paul, for your future bet. But another way is to pick a Derby horse based on their looks. So my sister Jennifer has a great eye for this. And since she's got a good eye for horses, I thought, why don't we show her pictures of the top Derby horses, and you, Aaron, have to guess whether or not she liked or disliked them based on their looks in a game I like to call Swiping with My Sister. Okay, let's take a second, because you guys don't know Jennifer. Let's take a second to meet her, and then we have a game I want you to play, Aaron. Hi, everyone. I'm here today with my lovely sister, Jennifer Stillman. Jen, why don't you introduce yourself and tell the people who don't know you a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I am an accomplished equestrian. I've been riding since I was a little girl. I have been all over the world and competed for the U.S. team and gone to the East Coast and have competed at every level, all the way up to the top level of show jumping.
Jen, do you feel like you could pick a horse based off of its looks and tell whether or not it's going to be a winner?
100%. Absolutely. 100%. More often than not, I would say a horse's appearance tells a lot about it.
Jen, do you feel like you can always tell based on physicality whether or not a horse is going to win?
Up until one afternoon when I was at a competition, I would have told you yes. But this is my really famous horse, Roxana, who we actually got offered $1 million check for. And I had a competition where I was me and this other girl on a thoroughbred. And the thoroughbred was about a $5,000 horse off the track. And she was second to that horse off the track. And I wouldn't have looked at that horse twice. So yes, sometimes you can, but not always.
But you do feel like it does pay to know physicality in horses. It gives you sort of an edge, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, there you go.
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
I'm pumped for this too, bro. Okay, for those people who like to base things on looks, we've got a game for you. Here's how it works, Aaron. I showed my sister 5 Derby horses and had her swipe left or right on the horse for the Derby based solely on looks, just like online dating. If she swipes left, the horse has left her unimpressed. If she swipes right, she thinks it has the right looks to be a Derby contender. Now, hopefully we find out some insight on horse physicality. And if that's your thing, hopefully this can help you cash big. It's time to play. Now, wait, to be clear, my sister doesn't follow thoroughbred racing and has never seen these horses before. These are solely opinions based on looks. We're going to go 5 for 5. That's the game. We're going to see how you do. You understand the rules, Aaron?
I understand. Yes. I'm pumped. Let's do it.
I'm in. All right, here we go. Let's start out with a horse who raced last week. Gaming. Aaron, did my sister swipe left or right on gaming for the Derby based on what she saw?
Left. I'm going to go left on gaming.
All right, let's see.
Interesting horse. I would not swipe right on this one. I would definitely swipe left. I think he's a nice horse. He's got a nice back end. I just don't think he has what it takes to go the distance. I think he's a little bit short on the front end, and I think he's a 3rd, 4th placer. I think he's an interesting one that perhaps had the potential to be something, but just hasn't, been what people thought he was going to be.
Wow.
Okay. Two things. Where's she been all my life? Number one, I mean, we've been friends for years and you've hit her for me. What the hell? Number two, was that not a very accurate description of gaming and what he's done?
It blew my mind, Aaron. Yeah, because she didn't get any background, and I've showed her some pictures, the picture you saw, and that's all she got. So yeah, very good for her. But okay, so that was like a starter one. From here on out, let's focus on 4 horses that are running this weekend, including a horse we've talked extensively on, Citizen Bull. Aaron, did my sister swipe left or right on Citizen Bull?
I got to go right on this one. He's such a looker. I think she swiped right on Citizen Bull.
Let's see.
I would swipe right on this one. I really like this one. I love the muscles in the back end. His legs look really nice. The front end is very nice. He's got nice muscles in the front part. His neck muscles aren't super protruding, so it's definitely going to carry itself up, and it doesn't look like a horse that'll pewter out at the end. This is an interesting one. I like this one.
Very good job, Aaron. You're 2 for 2. 2 for 2.
I'm blown away by her, you could tell this is no fraud. She freaking knows horse racing, or horses, I should say. That was some really good. This is good. This is good stuff. And yeah, of course, 2 for 2. Yeah.
No, but
we may be connected, your sister and I. In some
I was going to say that this has turned into a whole other thing that I wasn't expecting to have happen. Okay, with that in mind, Rodriguez, let's go with him. Aaron, right or left on Rodriguez for my sister?
I don't know how you couldn't. Just looking at that picture, I don't know how you don't swipe right. Now, look, she is going through the physicality of these horses, and I don't know anything about that, but he looks gorgeous to me. So let's go right.
All right. Let's see.
This is an interesting one. It carries itself up very nicely. It's got a lot of muscle in its back end. It's a little bit hard to tell from this photo. I don't necessarily know if but I do think he's going to make the board. Again, a little bit hard to tell off of these photos just because I don't have a good photo of his gait. But very nice horse. Again, I think it'll make the board. So I would swipe right on this one.
Man, it's like you two are connected. I haven't seen a connection like this since E.T. and Elliot from that movie, Aaron. This is scary, man. It's getting scary, bro.
What I loved about that one is she kind of called you out. I feel like a little bit. She kind of was just like, well, if I had a better photo, maybe I could give a better answer. So yeah, I like that. Call him out.
If you're around my sister and I long enough, you will see her call me out quite a bit. But incredible stuff, and
would love to be.
Yeah. Well, so here we go. Let's move to Florida. I think Florida is where we should ask her next because that's a huge prep. Guns loaded, Aaron. Guns loaded. Won his last 2 races. Kind of unimpressive in his last win, but he won nonetheless. Aaron, what about Guns loaded? Left or right for her?
Swipe it left.
Let's roll it.
I would swipe left on this one. I don't love the way that it carries himself. It's got a kind of a tight back end and not a huge stride. I think that I'd be surprised if it made the board. And if it did, it would be like 5th through 10th.
Wow. You're on fire, Aaron. 4 for 4. And great info from Jen, not seeing these horses. I feel like that's a lot of the way I feel about these horses. It's incredible.
I don't want to like, cause I again, you've hid Jen from me forever. So I don't want to like slide her here, but I didn't know that she would actually know about the horses like this. Yeah. More good info for sure.
And it does show you, like, just looking at physicality, right? I mean, so here's one that's really tricky because you want to talk about a horse. Our last one, Aaron, can you go 5 for 5? It's ferocious.
I feel like this is a terrible picture, so I don't know. I'm gonna go left, but
before I showed her several pictures of all of it. Don't just base it on this. It's just for here. I showed her.
Okay.
So ferocious.
I'm gonna go left. She's gonna swipe left.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, just off of his name, I have to swipe right. I love him. I think he's beautiful. I think he's the type of horse that I don't necessarily know if he'll win. I think it's a possibility. I think he's got the potential to. He's beautifully balanced. He's got the muscle structure on the front and back end. And I think it's half a dozen, one or the other. I think he's either going to be 2nd or 3rd place, or he's going to pull out a win that no one's going to expect. Very interesting horse.
Okay, wait a minute now, because you got it in a weird way, Aaron. I almost feel like you got it right, because here's the thing. Jennifer didn't like him to be a winner necessarily, but based on looks, and this was a $1.3 million horse, she swiped right. And those things, and that again is horse racing, right? Like, I'm just saying that one was tricky because she wasn't saying, she said if he wins, it would be a surprise, but based on looks, she'd go that way. So I kind of feel like you got it based on what your point was.
No, I got it wrong. I definitely got it wrong. She broke down why there. But look, 4 out of 5 wasn't bad. And listen, I think this should just be the whole show. I really don't think we needed to do anything else on this show. I love it.
No, yeah, hot girls swiping left or right based on looks it's always fun. Shout out.
This is what I would watch if I was watching this show.
Well, that's Jennifer for you,
Great.
champion equestrian, my sister. So grateful for her on this, and we'll definitely have to play that again. Fantastic work, and Aaron, fantastic 4 for 5 on this. So
I do my best.
Look, we got another game for you now. It's time to dissect some races. What do you say about that, Aaron? I think we got to go back now. Let's talk about last week.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so today we're going to analyze 2 of the biggest races from last week. This was the Kentucky Derby Prep, the Southwest, which was incredibly, there was a lot of talking points coming out of there. We also have to analyze the Pegasus World Cup in Florida, which is one of the biggest races on the calendar year. But the way Aaron and I are going to do this is different. We're going to play a little game we like to call stock up, stock down. And if you're new to racing, let me explain why we're going to do it this way. Every time a horse gets on the track and they run in a race, their stock rises or falls based on what they do. Or it can stay the same, but majority of the time, that's where it'll head. So I'm going to throw some names at Aaron of the horses we saw in the major stakes last week, and he's going to tell me stock up or stock down based on what he saw. And we're going to start with the Southwest Stakes. And last year, Aaron, the Kentucky Derby winner did come out of the Southwest Stakes. It's a Kentucky Derby Prep. Let's start with the winner of that race, Speed King. Aaron, stock up or stock down?
Yeah, I got to go stock up for Speed King. I thought this horse, obviously a win is always very important. The way he did it was important too. He broke all the way from the outside, the 10 hole, and about 2 jumps. He was in the lead, just crossed right over and saved all the ground and took the field gate to wire. Nice speed figure as well, a 94 Beyer speed figure for Speed King. Also, it's important to note his race 2 back when he was second in the Remington Park Springboard Mile. The horse that beat him was named Coal Battle. Coal Battle came back to win his next race in the Smarty Jones. And now Speed King has came and done this in the Southwest. So I think definitely stock up for Speed King.
Very interesting to hear. Okay, Mark Cassie's $1.2 million runner-up Sandman. Stock up or stock down for you?
Maybe the biggest stock up of the race is Sandman. This horse broke in a tangle.
Ryan, could you toss up the next slide on that, brother? Boom, there we go. Because I want people to see this. This is a $1.2 million good-looking son of a gun, isn't he? Go on, Aaron. Just what a physical specimen this horse is.
I would love to know how your sister swiped, but somebody didn't put Sandman in the docket for this week, which was weird. But anyway, stock up for Sandman. I like this horse quite a bit, Ryan. He broke in a tangle, just a mess. And what I mean by that is like he broke, and it's almost like he was just tied up in knots, and he got way behind. He still came running late to get second. I think with a little bit cleaner break from the gate, a little bit better position, he would have won the race. So he's the biggest stock up for me as Sandman out of this race. When I went into it, I was thinking he's good. He may not be great. I came out of it thinking he's got a chance to really be good as long as he can kind of get better position. So stock up for Sandman.
I love hearing that. Now let's talk about third place finisher Tastic. He's been in some big races. Stock up, stock down.
Yeah, stock the same for me with Sandman, or with with Tistastic. I mean, this is kind of who he is. He gets up and he hits the board. He never really threatens to win. I think he can make the Kentucky Derby starting gate. I don't really think he's going to have an impact.
I think that's a fair assessment from what we've seen. Let's go to a horse, though, that was all the buzz coming into it. A horse we both liked. I think tons of people liked. In fact, Flavian Pratt liked him so much, he gave up riding for millions of dollars down in Florida to be here to sit on his back. Patch Adams. He finished fourth as the favorite. I believe he went off as the favorite, Aaron. Wow, lots to discuss here. Stock up, stock down.
Well, you have to be stock down if you're Patch Adams, because he was ranked so highly and so highly regarded. Here's what I'll say. It was a disaster. Anytime you're finished fourth as the 4-5 favorite, that's a disaster. However, he did not get the positioning early in the race that I thought he would. He's a horse that likes to run near the very front, maybe 2 lengths off the pace at the most. He was third to last in a field of 10. He was way behind. He did make a little bit of a run before he flattened out late. This just seemed like a weird race from him. It's stocked down, but it's not totally give up on him just yet. We need to see another race from him, but he's absolutely stocked down.
I agree with you. I think it was interesting, though. 89 Buyer in his loss, maybe he bounced. It's hard to give him as much of an excuse when Sandman had what I think was a worse trip, or a worse start. If he'd finished like that, you go, okay, he had a bad start, but he tried to overcome it. The whole race, Aaron, very strange to me. I just kind of almost left unsatisfied. It just felt weird. Like Speed King had no trouble, went to the front. And by the way, shout out to Speed King, because he was working out best of 300 horses one day before the race. Yeah. But at the same time, the horses we're talking about behind him all had like weird excuses, except the number 5 horse for me, even though he hit the rail, it was reported coming out of the starting gate. Let's talk about Gaming, who it felt like this was a make or break moment for him. Stock up, stock down on Gaming.
No, your sister had it right. Stock down and swipe left on Gaming if you're trying to match with him. Look, here's the difference. Patch Adams, I don't give up on Patch Adams. Gaming, I've given up on. This is 2 races in a row. He just didn't run very well whatsoever. And, here's the deal. You talk about Sandman, and Sandman had all kinds of trouble, and a lot of it was just terrible luck. He just broke, and he just tangled up in knots. He wasn't quite ready. Gaming, he just didn't run fast enough to get positioning. Some of it was kind of bad luck, and some of it was Gaming just would not get to the spots he needed to get to, and his jockey was asking him to get to, and so he got shuffled back. So I'm done with Gaming.
Aaron, one last comment on him that I think is interesting. I wonder about this horse's stamina with Miler Johannesburg as the dam sire. And I was thinking about how he has a record of 2 for 2 sprinting and 0 for 3 around 2 turns. It's hard to even give him that, considering he's done so awful around 2 turns. You'd like to see him maybe get to the front or this. But yeah, I'm not feeling Derby horse from it. It's not giving Derby horse, as the kids would say. Let's talk about this next race, the Pegasus World Cup. And look, guys, we're not normally going to be talking about older horses on this show this season because it's Kentucky Derby season. But this is one of the major races on the calendar year. And this field produced last year's champion, Older Dirt Male National Treasure. It also had a Kentucky Derby winner in it, Mystic Dan. So why don't we start with the winner, White Barrio? Stock up, stock down for you.
I put White Barrio as stock the same, and here's why. He ran a tremendous, and I mean tremendous, race to win the Pegasus. Nobody was beating him this day. However, we've seen this in the past. We've seen he's a weird horse. Like, he's always decent, but there are 2 races in his past performances where he's out of this world, and then the Pegasus was the 3rd where he's just out of this world. What we know about him is it's not going to stay like that forever. He's probably going to go back down to where he's just kind of, I'm not going to call it average, but just above average to / good type of horse first, like a world beater. So I think it's like, okay, he got back to what he could do, but his stock is still kind of the same for me as just an inconsistent horse that you're starting to kind of see you can't really trust him race to race.
Very, very interesting. I think a lot of people would have expected to stock up on that, but great insight. And let's talk about the next horse, Locked, the runner-up.
I put Locke as a stock up in this race. Like you said, he was the runner-up. I thought he ran very, very well, Ryan. Look, nobody was beating Withrow that day. That's just how that went. But look, Locke is a horse that just runs kind of that same really good race every time. And I got to give him a stock up because this was the biggest race of his career by far, and he still ran very well. He also broke from the far outside, had a wide trip, had to come from out of it, all kinds of problems there. So I think it's stock up for Locke. I think he got a lot out of the race. I think he'll progress and be ready to run an even bigger race in his next start.
Interesting. And that's one too. Like, I think maybe his value will drop in some people's mind for finishing second here, and you might get a good price on him next time, depending where he goes. So that's good. Very good insight there, Aaron. Let's talk about Saudi Crown. He was another big horse. Stock up, stock down.
Yeah, I got to go stock down for Saudi Crown. He got the desired trip that everybody thought he would get, was be on the front by himself, try to take the field gate to wire. That is something that plays very well at Gulfstream Park, where they were racing the Pegasus. And he just faded badly and was off the board. And look, this horse needs to shorten up, really run at a mile to be his absolute best. The Pegasus was 1.1 1/8. I think they thought he could do it, and he just couldn't. No way to kind of, sugarcoat it. I just think it's stock down for Saudi Crown.
And since we're Derby season over here, let's talk about the Derby winner. Last year's Derby winner, Mystic Dan. I already think I know where this is heading based on that head shake.
Yeah, I mean, since he won the Kentucky Derby, talking about Mystic Dan, he ran a very good race in the Preakness, so you give him credit there, but he did not win. He was second in that race. And then he went up to run in the Belmont Stakes. He was kind of off the screen. He ran in a race called the Malibu Stakes at Santa Anita. He was off the screen. And I'm talking about in a bad way, by the way, like not even close to winning. And then the Pegasus, same thing. So I don't know what Mystic Dan is at this point. It's kind of been a theme that the Kentucky Derby winner does not come back to run well after the Kentucky Derby in recent years. And Mystic Dan's just kind of continuing that kind of theme. And it's sad because you want the Derby winner to do well, but stock completely down for Mystic Dan.
Wow. The question now becomes, Aaron, and I have to agree with you on it. Does Mystic Dan ever win a major race again, in your opinion?
No, I don't think so.
Interesting. But you know what's cool about that? If you're new to racing and you're seeing this, that just goes to show you when we're like, everyone gets wrapped up in the Derby. The best horses, don't always win the Derby.
Yep.
It's like Withrow, who's on Aaron's list. When I did stock up, stock down, he ran in the Derby, didn't really make much noise. And here he is winning one of the richest races in the United States. Mystic Dan won the Derby, hasn't won since. So
Yep.
it just is interesting in horse racing how that happens. You would think the most prestigious race as far as wide coverage would go to these unbelievable horses, and it's just a crapshoot. So
it does, just to jump in real quick, it does kind of lead to what I said a little bit earlier in the show. When a horse is 3 years old, it's like they're high school athletes, right? And so I went from like 2 to 3 is like junior high to high school and how things change. Well, then think about how things change from high school to say then a horse is 4 years old and running some of these other races, high school to college to adulthood, I guess you could say, or the pros, if we were talking about, sports. And it's like things change, over time, it just changes. And that Derby is just a kind of, sometimes a horse will peak that day and just kind of peak before the rest of them. And then the rest will start to catch up with them again. It's not always that way, but that is why sometimes you do see, if you're, kind of newer to racing, you go, well, how do you win the Derby and then not win again? That's part of it. Sometimes that race, it just kind of hits a horse just right. And then you get that kind of big upset.
It's absolutely remarkable. But look, like we just discussed there, the horses that win the Derby don't always become the champion. Usually they don't. So why don't we talk about champions? Because last week at the Breakers in Palm Beach, Florida, we had the 54th Eclipse Awards, Aaron. And that's where champions are crowned. We're going to analyze it today with a little game we like to call What the Bleep.
It's time to play What the Did That Horseman Say?
All right, here's the deal. Aaron, I'm going to play clips from the Eclipse Awards. I know you did not watch. And you're going to have to guess what was said at the Eclipse Awards based on these clips that, I'm going to bleep out a word. You're going to guess what it's about.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, Aaron. This first clip that we're going to play, it's no secret. Kenny McPeek was sort of the face of racing last year. If you were watching and just in the public, Torpedo Anna, Kentucky Derby Mystic Dan. Look, let's start with this. This was from the pre-show on the red carpet. Here he is, class act, giving a little talk.
Look, it's a team effort. I could list off a list of names of people I'm so proud of that contributed to all this, whether it was Alan who foaled, Mystic Dan, Dominic Brennan who all of them. He all my young horses. I can't do it without them.
Okay. So here he is, class act, giving some credit to to his team there. Now, Dominic Brennan works for him. Aaron, what does he do with all of his young horses?
Well, first of all, a great clip there, because you could easily think of what he didn't say and how funny that would be. He broke is the correct answer. He broke.
Let's see.
Look, it's a team effort. I could list off a list of names of people I'm so proud of that contributed to all this, whether it was Alan who foaled, Mystic Dan, Dominic Brennan who broke all of them. He breaks all my young horses. I can't do it without them.
My goodness, Aaron, you're unconscious when it comes to the games today. I'm loving it, buddy. I'm loving it. I got a question.
Well, just to be clear, what that means is when a horse is young and they're on the farm, somebody that breaks the horses, that's just somebody that gets them acclimated to the track and kind of teaches them what to do. I didn't want to make people think that break could be bad to a horse. No, that's not what that's the lingo is. Just the first guy to kind of get their hands on the horse and kind of get them acclimated to what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely well put, Aaron. Great insight there. Now, before we move on to our second clip, I have a question based on this. Kenny McPeek, face of racing, trained the horse of the year. The real interesting thing here is he did not win trainer of the year. Like if you're outside of racing, you'd go, but that's the guy I saw on TV all the time. Went to Chad Brown, who had a phenomenal year. Just in your opinion, did the voters get it right?
No, I don't think so. I think on pure stats, yes, Chad Brown was the trainer of the year, but you got to look at the grander picture of this thing. And Chad Brown could win this 100 times, but Kenny McPeek, with the horses he had and what he did for racing specifically. So he had a filly, Torpedo Anna, who won horse of the year, like you said. He raced that horse against the boys and made a huge deal of it in a big time race up at the Travers Stakes at Saratoga. Kenny McPeek kind of was the face of horse racing last year. I don't care about the stats. I just, when I think of last year, when I think of the year 2024 in horse racing, I'm always going to think Kenny McPeek when I think about trainers.
I 100% agree with you, Aaron. I don't fault anyone. You know, you can do it however, and I understand why you would give it to Chad, but if I had a vote, I would give it to Kenny as well. And so speaking of Chad Brown, here's a clip from him accepting trainer of the year.
Well, I was far from certain from being up here tonight, so that can only mean one thing. I finally Ken McPeek in a photo. So.
All right, Aaron, what did Chad Brown finally do to Ken McPeek in a photo?
He finally beat Ken McPeek in a photo.
Let's see.
Well, I was far from certain from being up here tonight, so that can only mean one thing. I finally beat Ken McPeek in a photo. So
there you go. Very, very interesting to see. You know, he's even acknowledging, right? It was a close call and the voting was close. Chad Brown, though, let's talk about something else here. He trained Sierra Leone, who was champion 3-year-old over fierceness. This is arguably the division that was deepest last year in horse racing in the United States. I don't even know that it's arguable, actually. I think it was clearly the deepest when you look at the classic and how three-year-olds finished 1, 2, 3. My question, Aaron, is about champion 3-year-old. There was so much discussion going in. Is it fierceness or Sierra Leone? Sierra Leone gets it. Your opinion, was it right?
Yeah, I think it was right. Sierra Leone had some big wins earlier in the year. He did go on a losing streak where he had some trouble, but he in the biggest race of the year against older horses, not just 3-year-olds, but all the horses that are older horses, I should say, that were worthy of running in the classic. Sierra Leone was able to do it and was able to get the job done. So, yeah, I think they got it right. I think it was close. I think it's a tough decision, but I think Sierra Leone was the true 3-year-old of the year.
I absolutely agree with you. And for this clip, let's talk about, forget 3-year-olds, horse of the year. This is Torpedo Anna's Connections accepting for the champion 3-year-old filly, which was unanimous. Let's play the clip.
First of all, I want to thank Kenny for allowing me to be a part of this amazing journey with this amazing filly. Judy Hicks, who took as she described it, a broodmare who has the body of Uncle Mo and the of a pony.
All right. So they're obviously talking there, Aaron, about breeding Torpedo Anna and what it took to breed her. So he's saying they took a broodmare who has the body of Uncle Mo and the blank of a pony. What would you say?
What would a pony have? I don't know. Okay, let's see a pony. Let's go. They're calm, like temperament, the temperament of a pony, maybe.
Let's play it. Let's play it.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank Kenny for allowing me to be a part of this amazing journey with this amazing filly, Judy Hicks, who took as she described it, a broodmare who has the body of Uncle Mo and the legs of a pony.
Look, let's just be fair. You were thinking right. How would you ever know? It's just interesting though. The real one behind this, Aaron, is it's interesting for people to know that a horse can have like a body of a champion horse like Uncle Mo and have legs like a pony and still produce something incredible. You would think they'd just look like champions, and that doesn't always work in breeding. You know, this is interesting to note, I thought.
We need your sister back to kind of explain this a little bit more to the people.
Absolutely.
But anyway.
I think more important, Torpedo Anna, she just named Horse of the Year. It's rare for a female horse to be named Horse of the Year. Since I've been following it, there were 4 Horses of the Year. We had Torpedo Anna, Havre de Grace, Zenyatta, and Rachel Alexandra. Aaron, I just wanted really quick if you would rank those 4. Where does she rank amongst them? I think that's the talking point.
I'm inclined to say no, just because you made me mad pulling that one in there. That's impossible. I get legs of a pony. That's ridiculous. Top 4 out of the ranking those 4. Oh, geez. Yeah, everybody wants to debate Rachel Alexandra and Zenyatta. I would go Zenyatta 1, Rachel Alexandra 2, Torpedo Anna 3, Havre de Grace 4.
I like that, and that seems very fair to me. Clip number 4. This is from Ken McPeak talking during Horse of the Year acceptance for Torpedo Anna.
It all happens with this fantastic group of people that are working their off every day.
Hold on, but the funny thing is, what you think he said, he would probably have said if it was just you and him talking on the backside at the barn, right? But that's not. I'm pretty sure he didn't say it up on the stage here at the Eclipse Awards.
Absolutely not. So what did he say about the group of people that are working their blanks off every day? What would you guess?
Kenny's from Kentucky, and they say tails, working their tails off, no doubt.
Let's see.
It all happens with this fantastic group of people that are working their tails off every day.
Fantastic, Aaron. And look, you got everyone that's conceivably,
right.
Yeah, I get it. But it's to bring up some discussions in the other one. Look, you did fantastic. And with that, we're going to jump off this. But I have one question for you. That was the 2024 Horse of the Year. We don't get one. Look, I think it'd be kind of fun to just say who we both think right now. If we could just massive prediction, who would be the 2025 Horse of the Year? Who would you go for now?
I think Fierceness would be my pick right now. Fierceness, I think, was 3rd in Horse of the Year voting this year, and I thought he had an incredible 2024. He was extremely inconsistent in the first half of 2024. As they went along, they worked those kinks out. So if he can have a full 2025 where he doesn't throw in those duds, he's going to be really tough to beat for the award. So if he stays healthy, I think Fierceness will be your 2025 Horse of the Year.
I like that. And as much as I respect Torpedo Anna, I think it's we've never seen a female Horse of the Year repeat, but I wouldn't count her out fully. And since you've said that, in my opinion, Aaron, I kind of think Sierra Leone would be my favorite now because he's a gun runner. And I really think that if he's anything like gun runner, he could be even better next year. And he was sort of just seeming to find his stride there in the Breeders' Cup to me. But I think it's definitely between those two if I had to pick between Fierceness and Sierra Leone. So really, really cool. Let everyone have an opinion. We'd love to hear it down below. Let us know who you think could be an early favorite for 2025 Horse of the Year. All right, enough of the fun. Let's get to making some money. It's time for free picks. This weekend, we have 3 major Kentucky Derby prep races. Aaron and I are going to give you picks to hopefully help you cash. Let's start with what I think is the marquee event, the Robert B. Lewis Stakes at Santa Anita. Aaron, we're each going to give 3 different types of picks here. So let's start at the first one. Aaron, who is your lock it up pick of the week? This is the horse you're most confident in cashing with.
My lock it up pick of the week, it comes from the Withers actually at Aqueduct. So I'm going to lock up the number 6 Captain Cook in the Withers at Aqueduct. That's going to be my lock of the week here. This is a horse coming off a maiden special weight right there at Aqueduct where he won by over 9 lengths. I think he is the only horse in that race that has an extreme amount of talent. So I'm going to go number 6 Captain Cook for my lock it up play of the week.
Very interesting. If I thought I wanted to give out for every race, so I'll give you my lock it up pick of the for this Robert B. Lewis. If you were telling me who I think is the most likely horse to win the Lewis, I would say it's Rodriguez, and I'll give you why. I think that, and it's interesting because I have my number 1 horse in here, Citizen Bull, but I'll tell you why I think Rodriguez would be a lock for me. I think there are some questions about his last win. Will the horse bounce? Does he need a certain race shape to run like that? However, to me, Aaron, there's no question if he runs the same time form number and Beyer speed figure that he ran in the last race, he is going to be awfully hard to beat. So I think I'm just going to base it on if they show up and run their best race, that's what happens. So I also think there's a good chance he gets the setup he got last time. He's working out really great. I would think he's the horse for me that is most likely to just sort of win in this spot. But here's the deal, guys. If I had to give you my blow it up tote pick of the week, I would actually say, for me, it's number 2, Citizen Bull. I think that's right. I think he is sort of not getting a lot of respect here. I think people are going to try to get smart and beat him, and his price might be a little better than we think. He's the proven class of the field. I can see him going off as the favorite here, and if all the backlash he's getting holds, what if he's the best horse in this race, Aaron? What if he just is the best of this bunch? There's some questions here. You might get a good price on him, and he might improve at 3 years old. So I do think there's a chance he wins, and you get a price on the 2-year-old champion. That's why I'm giving him that.
Can I just get the toilet sound right now?
Yes.
Because Ryan just flushed your money right down the toilet, because I think number 3 Rodriguez will upset Citizen Bull in this spot. So I'm going to go number 3 Rodriguez. I had number 2 Citizen Bull as the toilet play. I think he's going to be a short price. I think Rodriguez gets out in front and he takes his field gate to wire and pulls off what is a very mild upset in here. I like number 3 Rodriguez, Ryan. I totally see what you're saying. And I give you to your thing too, Aaron. I think what's interesting about Rodriguez compared to Citizen Bull, I don't think Citizen Bull even needs to win this race to get into the Derby. If he finishes second, sometimes you have to look at what they're progressing them to. He just kind of needs a good hit the board here, maybe one more hit the board, and then be ready for the Derby. So when you put all those things in there, I'm not disagreeing, Aaron, but because there's 3 Bafferts and you're not going to get a ton of money coming your way, I was looking at who I think might have the ability to do it and get a little better price than you would think. I'm with you, though, and it's fair to give me the flush for it, but I think you know what I mean. I'm just looking for which of the Bafferts might be live at the best price, but I'm with you with Rodriguez. Well, here's the deal with the Lewis, and this is simply when there are 5 horses in the race, 2 of them look overmatched, and the other 3 are trained by the same guy, Bob Baffert. It's just a weird race. It's almost like these 3 horses are going out for a stroll in the mornings for a workout, and who's going to outfinish who that day. So, who gets the lead? Who sits in second? Who sits in third? Well, they're going to be Baffert horses most likely. Which one's going to do what? What are they trying to get out of each one of them? It's a bigger guessing game than ever. Hey, if Citizen Bull wins, I'm not going to be shocked. I just feel like, hey, this is a chance to play against him with number 3 Rodriguez. 2 out of the last 10, only 2 out of the last 10, Breeders' Cup juvenile winners have come back to win their first start as a 3-year-old. That was another big factor for me. Only Forte and Essential Quality in the last 10 years have been able to go back and win that first start as a 3-year-old after winning the Breeders' Cup juvenile. So I'm a little leery of Citizen Bull. That's why I like Rodriguez a little bit. But look, it could go either way.
I respect that. Let's go over to the Holy Bull card let's go over to the Wither Six. Sorry, that you were just mentioning over there, Aaron. You had your lock it up pick. You know what? I'm going to give out what I think the best way to cash in this spot is, because this is an absolute mess of a race to me. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know what to make of it. I'm going to go with Corvus, number 3, as the blow up the board type, and I'll explain why. I'm not picking him to win. I'm not. I'm going to tell you because I was looking for how would I play if I was going to make money. If you have to play this race, I understand 1 win and 6 starts. However, he has the 3rd highest time form figure, Aaron, and I think he could be a totally off the board type. But also because he does have the numbers here, I would not be surprised if you wanted to take a swing and put him in your superfecta or your trifecta at the bottom there. I think he'll be a big price, and it's not impossible for me to see him being the guy that makes you a little bit of money. I'm not touching this race though, man. It's too much for me. This is crazy.
Well, I do think Corvus is going to be the right price to play underneath. He was second last time out. That's the good news. He needed a telescope to find the first place horse. That's the bad news because he was way behind him. But I do think this is a horse that in 3rd or in 4th does make sense. So I do agree with your logic there. Yeah, and like I said, I mentioned Captain Cook. Why I picked him was I look at the races, watch the replays of all these other horses. I just see a lot of average type of runners, right? And then I looked at Captain Cook, and it's like he could be a little bit better than average. So look out for the 6. I would also look out for the 4, Uncle Jim, a little bit, Ryan. This is a horse that had a ton of hype, and so much hype that you called me before he ran his second race. He's like, I'm hearing a lot about this horse. I was like, yeah, me too. He was not good in his second race. He was 3rd right here at Aqueduct, beating 3.5. He's better than that. He has to be, right? So maybe we see it out of him. 6, 4, 3. How about that? Put your 3 in third and use the 6 and 4 in first and second.
I like that, Aaron. I had a lot of trouble with Captain Cook, by the way, because I didn't know about his pedigree for this race, but I think he's the best horse in it based on what I saw, which made me kind of feel like Omaha is the horse I need to worry about, because distance won't be a problem for this horse, but I don't love him.
One thing I'll say, so Practical Joke is the sire, and I'm sure that's why you're worried about going a mile and an eighth, because you feel like he's more of a horse that wants to go one turn. Yeah.
Yeah, for Captain Cook, that concerns me. Not the talent, though. Not the talent, just pedigree, you know?
2 things, and before I say the 2 things, I'll say I totally agree with you. I paused big time. But think about Practical Move, a horse that was by Practical Joke that was able to get, a mile and an eighth. So I liked that. I also like that he's not going to have to make like a big run at the end and come from out of it. He's got early speed, and sometimes these horses that maybe they're not bred to go this long, if they get out in front and they get out by themselves, they'll kind of just take it in the rest of the way and win. So that's what I'm hoping for. If you look up mid-stretch, or not mid-stretch, but up the back stretch, and he's in 3rd or 4th, I'm going to be really worried. I want him to be in front. I think he's going to be a couple in front, and I think he can take him gate to wire. But your pause for concern there, that's very valid.
Speaking of pause for concern, let's talk about one last concerning race here. It's the Holy Bull Stakes. Another one that I think is kind of a disaster. And why do I say that? I feel like I'll 100% get a lot of answers coming out of it. But for me, you can make a case like several different ways. It's a build your own adventure type of race. Aaron, do you have any lock it ups, explosions, or flush your money down the drains in this one?
I've never heard it called a build your own adventure type of race. I've never heard that phrase. Got to say, I love it. Because you're right. Look, I go ahead, play the bombs. I got a bomb here. I wish we had a bomb. I maybe just do a bomb every race. I love the sound clip. I like number 6, Burning Glory, at 8-1 in this spot. This is a horse that's trained by Bill Mott. We talked about Bill Mott earlier in the show, how he's kind of patient. He develops his horses. The very first race they run, they don't just run off the screen and run incredible. He kind of races them into shape. And you can see that he's done this with Burning Glory. First race, not so good. Second race, better, but still not great. Third race, really good. Last time out at Churchill Downs, won his first race, broke his maiden going a mile. Coming back to a mile and 16th now. I love this horse at this price of 8-1. If he gets bet down a little bit harder, maybe I don't love it as much, but I think it's a suspect field. I think the favorite, the number 2 Ferocious, is very beatable. I do like the Brad Cox horse, number 3 Tappan Street, but I ultimately did go with the 8-1 on Burning Glory, the 6 horse. Other big thing to note, Bill Mott also trains a horse called Tux, who ran 3rd in the Remsen Stakes last time out, which is a Kentucky Derby prep race. He chose to run Tux in an allowance, and I thought that was very interesting. So he's in a race, a weaker race earlier in the card here at Gulfstream, and Burning Glory is the horse that's in the Holy Bull. And I was like, he must really like Burning Glory, because I think Tux would be decent in this race. So that was a little bit of a hunch for me. I'll take a shot at 8-1.
I love that. That's actually would be my blow it up as well, Aaron. I think that would be exactly where I'd go. And let me tell you, though, a few things, because I think that it just worth mentioning for people that might play this race. Ferocious, interesting thing. I've got some insight on this, a little bit of inside baseball here. He gets Castellano again. That's great. He's obviously a wild card. I was surprised he didn't have the top time form number, to be honest, just based on how much he's talked about. But he's getting blinkers, according to what I've heard. And the deal is this. Everyone who's ridden this horse has begged the trainer to put blinkers on this horse, said he couldn't focus. Please do it. And look, he's an old school trainer that's like, I'm messing with equipment at 3. So if you're looking for an angle where it's like, why would this horse do anything different? For me, that might make a difference, because he's showing some talent. I'm still not touching it, but I wouldn't be shocked. Did you have something you want to add there, Aaron?
I was wanting to add, if you go back and if you watch the race at Saratoga on September 2nd, the Grade 1 Hopeful Stakes, it was a huge race for 2-year-olds at Saratoga. You will see why this horse needs blinkers. So what blinkers do, they cover the eyes where the horse can just kind of see forward, right? the horse was running to the competition. So he would find a horse and he would run right next to that horse. And then if he saw another horse up there, he'd go try to run right next to that horse. He was clearly kind of the best horse that day, but he was just trying to run with his friends. And so after that race, I was like, oh yeah, just put blinkers on him. He'll be fine. I'm with you. I think that has a chance to make a huge difference. Sorry, go ahead.
No. And I just one more horse that is, we're going to just kind of close with this. Guns Loaded, he is improving with every start. Okay. I think that if he improves again, this could be a win. He gets Irad Ortiz. I was so unimpressed with that last race, Aaron, that, hit me with the toilet flush sound effect. That's, sort of where I'm at here. Okay. But here's the deal. I'm not sure he has the class for this, but I was thinking about this. He's going to be on the lead, Aaron. He's got Irad. And look, what if he just literally had an off day in that race? Wouldn't it be like, we've seen this story before. We're like, that kind of sucked. Well, it's like, just like athletes. We've seen Patrick Mahomes, who's phenomenal, just play a bad game. So I'm not telling you guys with Ferocious or Guns Loaded to go after it, but I wouldn't be shocked if we're sitting here and we're like, that sucked. Why'd that happen? You can get there with me. I'm staying away from this race. If I had to, though, I'm going with you, Burning Glory. Let's see what's up,
I just can't get with Guns Loaded after the segment earlier where your sister swiped left. I just couldn't do it.
Same for me.
Before that, I was with you, but listen, I've got a newfound, person I need to talk to about racing and looks. And if she swipes left, that's a good tie to tie this whole thing up. If she swipes left, forget about it.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that's what we've got for you today. That's our show. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. Shout out to Jon White, Paul Withrow, Jennifer Stillman, all of our Eclipse Award winners, and my incredible co-host, Aaron Halterman. Good luck betting, everybody. This is Ryan Stillman signing off for Big Play Sports. Thanks for talking track with us.